Hello, people of the internet. So, back on this garden tractor. This thing has been a pain in my butt. I don't know what I should have done. I shouldn't have done this garden tractor is what I shouldn't have done. Anybody knows a reasonable source for a vertical crankshaft? What would the equivalency be? Like 15 to 18 horse diesel? That's air cooled? Yeah, let me know in the comments because I'm about ready to convert this sucker. And generally speaking, I like these Kohlers. It's a 24 horse. It's a I'm going to get it wrong. CV25S. I always get the CV and the CHs mixed up, but it's right before like the 730 series came out. So they're reasonably good engines. They do have head gasket failure issues. And, you know, depending on what generation, they ran a lot of different spark modules on them. But overall, I've always been happy with these engines. Anyway, so this one's been a pain in the butt. So where do we start with what we are to get to where we are? So I got it running. It had a bad wiring harness on it because at some point it thrown a belt and somebody botched a wiring harness repair on it. So I fixed the wiring harness. Went to use it, and it was acting up when I drive it. It would like break down under load, basically. Looking around, and the first thing I found was that my helper had been playing around with it, and it disconnected a spark plug wire. Okay, put the spark plug wire on. All of a sudden, it started running better. I didn't think two things of it. Fine. Finish doing what I'm doing with it. Go to drive it down to where it's going to be stored. And idle's great. You can let it idle for a good long time. Idle's great. Put it in drive, and you get about, 15, 20 seconds, maybe 30 seconds tops, and it starts breaking down under load. So bring it in, start looking at stuff, take the cover off, find one of the modules has about eaten itself, and I do I forget what the hell it's called, but I do a coil conversion. I take away this one had a smart spark system, not the DAIS system, and not the regular system. But there's a conversion, so you put like standard one-wire coils on it. And okay, so we did that. Put everything back together, idles beautifully, breaks down under load again. Should have set up my camera stand. Never set up my camera stand. Go back to the drawing board. Okay, well, let's take. I'm phenomenal. I love using the cheapy Amazon carburetors. So when I put that one on there, okay, well, maybe I got a bad one. It's not like it doesn't happen, you know. It's a risk you have to be willing to take on those things. So I took apart the original, inspected it because I still had the original carburetor. I took apart the original, inspected it, cleaned it up, cleaned it out, and put it on. Engine did the same thing. Going through the wiring, doing like jiggle tests and stuff. Nothing ever seems to be doing it. Do a compression test, got 170 pounds on both cylinders. So, you know, I'm starting to scratch my brain a little bit. Figure, I don't know. I just don't know. You start going through all sorts of other stuff. At this point, you know it's not fuel related. It did have a new fuel pump on it. I redid all the fuel pump lines, filter, carburetor, all that stuff. I went ahead and put another new fuel pump on it just to check. I went ahead and put another new fuel filter on it just to check. Just sometimes you get bad situations. So we're at the point where we've, replaced the carburetor, rebuilt the carburetor, checked all the gaskets. I did spray around to see if it had an intake leak or anything like that. And no real obvious issues. Did a compression test on it, like I said, at 170 pounds on both cylinders. I'm really not thinking internal engine problems. I just really am not. So I finally get to the point where it's like, okay, I gotta check stuff. I'll pull the valve covers off and rotate the engine to make sure that the rockers are moving and make sure that nothing has come apart. you know. The rockers were all torqued. I set it up. I retorqued the bolts for the rocker arms, and they were all, I mean, they weren't 100%, but they weren't that loose. And verified that as you spin the engine over by hand, the cam does move the rockers in appropriate rotation and everything like that. So, you know, running out of ideas. And something I hadn't thought of that I saw on, I think a Terrell Fixes All video, and I just hadn't really thought about it, was checking the head gaskets. It wasn't making any noise, and I didn't really see anything with it. And one of the things he brought up was, you know, check for excess crankcase pressure. Okay, that's easy enough. And so fire it up, and it feels pretty strong. You know, it's not like I know really what I got to go off of, but it feels pretty strong. So do the balloon test. If you've never done this on a car, so most people, or at least on water-cooled engines, you know, most of the time a head gasket blows, you get coolant and oil mix, and it's pretty easy to identify. Obviously, on an air-cooled engine, you don't have coolant. This works also with a coolant-filled engine. The gasket doesn't always blow in a way that creates an external leak or a leak between coolant and oil passages. And you do the balloon test or the glove test. You pull the oil cap off on most vehicles. You pull the oil cap off because it's easy, or whatever you want to get the glove around, and you see if it inflates like a balloon. It should kind of breathe like a bag. I'm wiggling my other hand over here. Nobody can see it, but you know, it should kind of be. Hold on. Boop, 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 boop. It should pulse a little bit. But the glove, if the glove is just sitting there over top, it shouldn't be like whoop and raise up and fill up full of air. I know, sound effects and visuals that don't work. So anyway, we put the glove on the breather, which is like a 3/8 opening, and I've got it just kind of held around there with my hand. You know, it's not even tight against it, and it inflates the glove in a matter of seconds. So okay, we definitely got a head issue. I'm gonna go ahead and take both heads off, do both gaskets. I also got valve seals to go in it, and I'm hoping that corrects the problem. If not, I think I'm pretty well out of things, and I'm looking for that diesel engine. So that's where we're at, and we'll get some things set up, and we'll start seeing what we can break. All right. So upon inspection, number one, I think I know which cylinder probably has a bad head gasket. And this isn't indicative of any facts. This is just me taking a guess. If you look, so these engines got revived head gaskets. The original head gasket revised head gaskets. The original head gaskets were kind of scrawny. If you look here, you see this ridge right here? It's flexible. That's the head gasket. You see how big it is? It looks just like one of the cooling fins. It comes way out. Now, if you look over here at this cylinder, I don't know that I'll be able to actually get in close enough for you to see, but you notice there's not that extra rib in here. As it would sit, it would poke out between. Let me get a pokey. Hold on. I know. I'm prepared. Really, I'm prepared. I'm always prepared. So it would poke out between this rib here and this rib here. And if you look, when you come down, because I'm prepared, and you can see there is a gasket, but it doesn't poke between the ribs. You see that? It doesn't pop out. This one pops out. So this unit had a head gasket done at one time, but they only did one cylinder head. The owner obviously opted to do one cylinder head and not both, which I always feel like that is stupid. Now, another indicator of a problem, you see how dark and black that spark plug is versus that one? Yeah, this one is out of that cylinder. Now, I cleaned those spark plugs so they were both nice and good looking, because originally this was also the coil pack that had decided to eat itself. So I attributed the bad spark plug that I had found to the bad coil pack. But considering how much carbon buildup has gotten on there, and it's only been run, a handful of minutes and whatnot, yeah, this is definitely starting to show that it needs cylinder head gasket job done. And I also got a set of valve stem seals, which oddly enough, a 4-pack of aftermarket valve stem seals cost more than a 2-pack head gasket set, by nearly double. It was like $24 for 4 valve stem seals, and it was $14 for a 2-pack head gasket kit. It came with all the gaskets, exhaust, intake, everything. So yeah, I find that to be kind of odd, but whatever. We're here now. We'll get back tearing apart. Alright, so we're getting ready to put the heads back on. This is the torque sequence. Cylinder head 1, cylinder head 2. They should be labeled, at least mine were. Right there. Since I have what they're calling screws, the bolts, they're not studs. So it's a double torque sequence. That's line number 4. That's what it is. And then when we go over to, where am I at? Right here. This is the rocker arm torque. And on my engine, I have black screws. So that's what they will be. Got new gaskets in place. The head's about as cleaned up as it could be. I made a mistake by not reading. Always read things first. And I put a seal on both valves. Well, exhaust valve does not require a seal, so I had to take it all back apart, pull the seal. So, just so you're aware, the pack of 2, because I didn't read the manual first, I just went ahead and doopty stuff. The pack of 2 is all you need. It'll supply you 2 intake seals. You'll be good to go. This is the old cylinder head that hadn't had the gasket done on it. I put anti-seize on the studs. I also got new exhaust nuts to go with it. On this one, where it had the work done before, someone had cut, and I already got them put in scrap, but somebody had cut down bolts and then washered them up so that they were thick enough and held. So I just went ahead and got some new flange bolts, anti-seized those as well. It did not come with new valve cover gaskets, so I will have to clean these up and go. These are an O-ring style. And outside of that, I think we're almost back in business. I got to use 2 torque wrenches to do the heads because I don't have a single torque wrench that'll do both settings. So that's just life. Well, everything's back together, and well, I can't say nothing is better. It is a little better. It doesn't try to die quite as bad. But the crankcase pressure is still really high. Either it's got a bad head or heads, and I don't mean warped. I did check for flatness. They're within spec. Or the block is bad. I did not check the block, so very well possibly could be bad block. Probably I would guess that a head is bad in a non-obvious visual sense. So like maybe a crack somewhere I can't see, something along those lines. So that's kind of depressing. And I don't really know where to go after that, but because I think it's kind of funny, let's go out and see what we got over here. Oh, this is probably going to get loud because I got to start it. It idles really well. They're not supposed to look like, you know, bug sprayers or anything like that when you do it. That's pretty bad. I don't really know where to go. I'd love to find a like a 12 to 15 horse vertical shaft diesel engine to replace it with, because I keep diesel down in tractor barn from a big tractor. I've seen, what's it, Hats, I think, H-A-T-Z, Hats, I don't know how you pronounce it. They make one in that power range, and they seem to be about the only ones. I've yet to find one for sale, like open market, without trying to contact them or become a dealer. So that's not in my budget. Not doing that. Looks like the Predator had a 22 horse engine, vertical shaft. Comes up on their small engine information page, but it seems to be unavailable now. I guess they discontinued it or whatever. So that's not an option. So I don't really know what to do. Has anybody ever done a vertical shaft to horizontal shaft engine swap? It might be, it might be doable. Yeah, I don't know. Just didn't think it was going to be that kind of a problem when I started the project. You win some, you lose some. That's the way it is. So now we got to back up, regroup, and come up with a new plan. Hopefully everybody else is having a better day. Everybody go out, do something fun.